record it, let people in as we go, and yeah. I'm sure your last name gets butchered. Richter, like Richard,
Yeah,
Richter.
everything. Yes, all the time.
That's
Richter.
awesome.
So,
All right, we got
yep.
people starting to mosey on in here, so that's good. We'll give it a couple 30 seconds to a minute, let people start to come in. Now we do usually start on time. Sometimes it's realtor time and business time, and so things start to really pack in as people are starting to roll in. So, all
Cool.
right, cool. The waiting room here starting to pull up. Hi, there she
It's
is.
Christina.
Glad you can make it.
Me too. I was like confused because it was Google Meet to Zoom to this, and then I'm like, okay, let
Oh,
me go back to my email.
yeah.
My apologies. I'm on like an hour of sleep, so
Good. Well, good to see you, Christina. Well,
good to
David,
see
we can
you.
just leave now because Christina's here, so the legend
Right,
is
yeah.
here, so we're good.
Right. Yep.
All
Okay.
right, all right. So we'll have some more people come in. Let's kick this thing off. We'll spend about 45 minutes to an hour. Just depends on the conversation, presentation, questions for that. So just a quick housekeeping item, everyone. This is being recorded. It is a webinar style really approach here today. So we can see you in the room. So if you have questions, come off mute, maybe raise your hands. We are monitoring the chat. So if you have questions, we'll take a look at the chat and we can stop Christina and David in the middle of the presentation and talk about maybe some of those questions that you have. This is really to be participatory, even though we're going to throw a lot of information at you today. However, our goal is for you to walk away with some nuggets that you can implement into your business today. So everybody, my name is Kyle Harrison. I am a KW Maps executive coach, also the president and co-founder of Your Bookkeeping Partner and Launch Bookkeeping. Launch Bookkeeping is the commercial side of real estate. YBP is the residential side of real estate. And we also have the small business division. And today we have special guests, David and Christina. They're going to introduce themselves here in just a minute. We're going to talk some real profit, right, and money and some things of how to generate more profit out of your business. It's going to be really impactful, and just appreciate the opportunity, David and Christina, for being here. So let's kick things off. Who's David? Who's Christina? And who's Simple CFO?
I'm
Sure.
David.
So, all right.
Okay.
Oh man. And yeah, I wish I was Christina. But I'm David. This is Christina. She's really the brains behind everything. I run Simple CFO, which is a fractional, so part-time CFO company, where we are the financial leaders, and Christina is actually the head of operations. So she's head of our CFOs and the client success, making sure that everything's good there. So Christina, do you want to tell a little bit about your background?
Sure. I'm an investor myself, so I've been investing, my husband and I, since 2010. We went from flipping houses to wholesale to duplex rentals, all kinds of things. And now we own, actually, we just got 668 units under contract. So we're actually close to 1,500 mark in multifamily units, and we own some commercial retail as well. So, but I've been in accounting my whole life. That's all I've ever known. And so I've just gradually grown into coaching, leadership, financial coaching, CFOing, and did my own business on the side, met David. I'm very passionate about real estate and helping real estate investors make money, because sometimes it's a hobby and it turns into a business quickly, and we don't realize that it's doing that, and we need to keep the money aside. So my true passion is helping, investors, agents, whoever, make money, manage their money. And that's why I really wanted to join teams with David.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I love our partnership. Just helping the money side, the bookkeeping side, helping your clients really keep their money tight and really be able to read their P&Ls, and you guys from a coaching standpoint and a company standpoint can take that and really help level up their business, right? So I'm really just super grateful for that synergy between our companies. So David, it
We
sounds
are
like you've
too.
got a presentation, or Christine, you got a presentation you'd like to fire up, and let's start going. And then
Yeah.
just with your permission, I'd like to maybe interrupt and ask some questions along the way. And even for our guests, if you have questions, please raise your hand or please put it in the chat. We do want this participatory. So yeah, so let's fire away. Let's go.
So
Awesome.
one thing
Well,
before you start, David,
yeah.
David's going to go through the presentation, and I'm going to monitor the chat as well. So I'll
Okay.
keep I'll keep track of questions and stuff, and I'll try to reply to them as quickly as I can if you guys have any questions. Just wanted to.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Christina. That's great.
Yes, this is why I love having team members on, because it's hard to present and type at the same time. So it's good stuff. Thank you for helping. I also wanted to say too, where this presentation was born from. My background is also real estate investing, and we had built a small like wholesale company to become like wholesale flipping, turnkeys, like doing lots of different things in the residential space. And we built it to about 25 deals a month. So about 300 deals a year. But we were spending like 26 worth of deals out the door. So it's like, who cares? You make a million, but you spend 1.1 to get there.
That's right.
That was where I was going to different mastermind events, and other people were in the same boat. You know, it's like we put on a good face in front of everyone, but then you get behind the scenes and it's like, okay, what's really happening? And it wasn't just us. So I knew like there had to be a way to get out of this. That's what led me down the road that I'm on today with Profit First. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, but it's a book by Mike Michalowicz about cash. Like, how do we actually be a profitable business and manage our cash? Because you're going to have bookkeeping partners and you're going to have those people here, you know, like make sure that your back end is tight. But what about the cash that flows through your system as well, too, that you manage and you're telling your money where to go? So I even wrote a book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing, because I'm like, I love the concept so much. And I'm like, I have to take this to the real estate world. There's one out there for agents as well, too. But that's where this concept has helped so many people with the day-to-day of being able to keep more cash, like pay yourself.
That's right.
And do the things that really matter. So this is why I'm really passionate about it. You're going to hear it today. I want to give this to you. There's actionable steps too. And then at the end, I give you a cheat sheet. So it's like, if this is overloading you, like with information, at the end, you're at least going to get the 1, 2, 3. Like, here's the first steps that you can at least do, you know, or at least know from what I presented. So I'll fire up the screen if I'm good to go here.
Yeah, you got. And I think too, just to note, you know, this is a concept, right? Any of those that haven't read Profit First, highly recommend it. It just really flips a perspective on its end and running a business, right? And so I'm sure you're going to talk about a little bit of that today. However, if this is a new concept for those that are listening in, pick up the book, pick up David's book, like really understand this, because this is a powerful concept.
It is. And this is why
it's really
I've devoted
model.
basically,
it's a model.
It is. Devoted my life to getting this message out because of how it's impacted me and the others in this industry. And just in general, like you said, this is a business system. This is not just for real estate investing. I'm going to tailor it towards real estate because that's what I love. And if you're in that world, but that's where this can be applied in anything. So if you have real estate and another business, still listen up, because this is a good financial system. No matter what. So I want to help you keep more profit. And that's what my passion is here. So I do want to start with a story, someone that we've worked with for a long time. His name's Joey English. I met him at actually a real estate investing mastermind where he got in front of everyone and started crying. And, you know, it was pretty tough. You know, like he was saying, the last year in business was tough, had a horrible, you know, call with my CPA with that person. And he told me later on, because we got together, because he heard about Profit First and people had pinged him to me. He told me on a Zoom later, like I walked in to my CPA's office and she said, looking at your books, I'd never get into real estate. Like you would, better for you to work at McDonald's. He's like, what? Like, how bad is it? And she said, you lost $70,000 this last year. And he's like felt that big. You know, he was like, I'm out here doing all this stuff, creating all this activity. You know, like how in the world can this happen? And then he had to go home. He told me, tell his wife, Ashley, they have a great relationship. They're incredible human beings. But he's like, she started working in the business this last year when we were going gun ho. She was the transaction coordinator. She was helping me a ton, but it was so stressful on her. Like she started having seizures. Joey was working 80, 90, 100-hour weeks. Like it was like a nightmare for him, because the big reason why he got into real estate was time freedom and to be able to give, you know, like towards charity. And like at this point, he's a nonprofit almost, you know, it's like people should be giving to him. And he told me on that call, should I get a job? You know, like, should I just throw in the towel? And I'm like, man, like I knew where he was, because that's where I was, you know, that's where we were with that bigger business. Because he said something I'll never forget. He said, I did more deals last year than I've ever done, but I lost more money than I've ever lost. And I'm like, oh man, I have been there. Why do
Yeah.
I tell this story? Because like, if you've ever felt this way, you're not alone. And like, I want to give you light at the end of the tunnel here. And if you're like, hey, I'm just starting out, I'm just ramping up. How can we avoid this? There's practical steps to avoid getting to this position if you just know where every dollar is going in your business. And that's what I would really want to help you with through this presentation today and give you those actionable steps. The pain we all secretly feel as
I think,
business
hold on,
owners.
David. I think we need to sit in that moment for a second, because I think a lot of people get, oh,
Okay.
if I raise my revenue, my profit will come, or I'll make more money. And then they wake up and the money's not in their account. And then they're like, okay, what happened? Right. So then, from a P&L standpoint, there's cost of sale and there's other things that are floating in there that they're really not tracking. So they're doing more. However, their bank account is not going as high as they want. And if you want to grow your money, you got to know your money, right? And even if you look at the top 5 reasons why businesses fail, 3 of them are attached to financials. So I think people really need to sit in this concept, or they're saying, well, David, how is that possible? We did more deals and lost more deals. And I think you're going to share that today. And it just happens. And if you're not paying attention, like you said, super, super important. So anyway, I just wanted to sit there for just a minute.
Because that really is what we all are. Well, most people,
Right.
if you start gung-ho and get up and running and ramping it up, if you don't have a system, then this becomes the pain that we secretly feel, because it's also something we don't talk about. This is not something you go to a meetup. Like, I don't know if you have a real estate investing meetup in the area. You don't go there and say, my bottom line sucks, help me. It's usually like, oh yeah, I did deals, I did this, it's like, I've got this new contract. You're talking about everything but what's really important to you and what's really going on behind the scenes. And I'm just here just to make you aware that this is what everyone's feeling. Everyone's feeling this at some point. And that's why I want to just help you, because you don't have to live there. Most people also think they have to live there. Like it's a sacrifice during the entire ride. It's not a sacrifice during the entire ride. There might be sacrifice moments, but it's a season, not a lifestyle. It's like, that's where we have to make sure that at least that other people have this. But the root problem, because I'm not a surface level person, I like to go at right at what is the real root problem here. I believe it's what a lot of us think in business. More money is going to solve everything, right? But it's more money, more problems. If we don't have a system to catch the money on the back end, if we don't know where every dollar is going, then who cares if you do more deals? That's I love Keith Cunningham books. If you've ever read his books, he wrote The Road Less Stupid. He says it in a couple of different ways. He says, if you scale cancer, the tumor grows. Or if you put fuel in a jet plane that's going down, it's you just go down faster. It's I don't want that for you. I want you to be putting fuel into a plane that's actually rising up and not headed for, a crash. And that's where I don't want you just thinking income solves all problems. It only does if you have a system on the back end to catch the money. So it's that's what I want to help you with today. Because that's where I go to so many events. I'm so connected, so many people thankfully have grasped onto this real estate investing, the profit first concept, where I was at an event where these are very high producing people, very high, in the real estate world. And 2 years ago, I met this guy and he said, I'm doing great, everything, but I've got a little bit of cash flow issues. And I'm having a hard time paying out the people on my team sometimes. And I feel like I could just and I told him, if you're not going to work with me, at least read the book or something. I know where you are and you just need that help. And then I just saw him in February at an event and he's like, I didn't do anything with it. I wish I would have done something with it, because he just said, I had to make the choice, bankruptcy or let go of my whole team. And I'm like, oh, this could have been avoided. This could have been avoided years ago with just good habits and a good system in place. And I'm like, this is totally avoidable. This is why I'm so passionate, because I'm going to tell you the rest of Joey's story. But then I hear things like this and I'm like, God, if we could have just helped you, or if you would have just taken some of these concepts, you would have never gotten to this point. And that's where I don't want you being anywhere near this. This is where if you get a good foundation laid, wherever you are today, big business, small business, just getting started, good habits need to start now. So that way it doesn't end up like this. I don't know if you're in the real estate world, you probably have played Cash Flow 101 or have heard of it, from Robert Kiyosaki. If you have never played it, highly recommend it. This could be life-changing just if you get this game. It teaches you so many good things and concepts. But in that game, it's such a great example of what I'm teaching about here. is in the game. If you've never played it, there's a little wheel in the middle that you can see, and there's little green spaces, and they say big and small deals. And you're literally trying to get out of the rat race and get to the fun track, which is like the financial freedom that we're all craving is on that outside. And so many of us go from W-2, like paycheck to paycheck living, jump into real estate thinking it's financial freedom, but now we're just in a bigger rat race in the middle, living deal to deal. And it's like, I don't want you trading one for the other. You need to also have good habits in your business so that way you can get to that fun track. I don't want your current habits keeping you in that rat race and then saying what Joey did. Like, I did more deals than I've ever done. Like, I've made more money than I've ever made, but it all went out the back door and some. It's like, that's not going to be where you want to end up.
So let me ask you this question, David. Let me ask you this question.
For sure.
And this, we can spend 30 seconds on this here. Why do you think business owners and people are in this rat race, or in this, maybe the head in the sand around financials, just from your perspective? Why do you see that?
I see two big things. Number one is, yes, head in the sand with the financials, or let's be very honest here. Lots of people have financial issues, like whether that's shame around it, like I should know more, I should be doing this, why, you know, like you're teaching all this stuff and it sounds fundamental, but no one's ever taught me this stuff. Or, you know, like they build their whole business around what someone else is telling them, like you should be bigger. They're listening to all the comparison game out there, and then they think that, well, I just need to do more. Like I said, the root problem, it's like we just need to do more, but that mentality keeps you stuck in that rat race going around in the middle. So those are a couple of the big things from that I see from my perspective. So here we go. I want to turn it around. And this is the profit first formula. I like to call it the wealth formula. I don't think profit first has the, you know, like the cornered this market, because other people have given this formula in different books. But the formula is sales minus profit equals expenses. Meaning I make a sale, I make sure me and the business are healthy, and the expenses are still there to grow it and to invest in marketing and payroll and all that stuff. But I need to make sure that I've built a margin of safety into the business. This is where, though, like I said, I feel like it's more of a wealth formula, because Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, he says, pay yourself first, like a million times throughout his books. In The Richest Man in Babylon, a portion of all you have is yours to keep. You know, The 7 Habits, Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, he says one of the big habits is put first things first. That's just, those are different packages for the same concept here. What I'm going to teach you, though, is a system, a wealth system. That's why I love Profit First. It didn't stop with the formula like a lot of those other books do. It's like, here's a wealth system to make it reality. And it's built around the entrepreneur. It's not built around, you don't have to be this, you know, financial wizard. You don't have to be this, you know, high level CFO to get at least the core concept. That's what I want for you, is just to be able to get a better cash system in place today so you can actually keep more in your pocket. And I just have three quick points that I see, which counteracts like what your questions, you know, Kyle, about a lot of people are. I think the number one thing you need for your business, no matter what industry you're in, is finding what you need to keep. What do I mean by that? Meaning you don't build your business around whatever anyone else thinks. It's like finding what you need for your business. And I want to ask you a key question around this. Why did you start your business? Why did you start yours? And go a couple levels deep. Don't just say financial freedom. Go a little bit deeper. What does financial freedom mean to you? Does it mean time with family? Does it mean that, you know, like that you go out there and give to charity? Does it mean that you travel the world? Does it mean the house that you've always wanted to live in? What does that really mean to you? So why did you start your business? We have to have this as our North Star. The why is so important. I love that book. Start with why. You have to, for anything that you're doing, and especially around the finances. Like, why did we start the business? Because that's what the finances should be pointing towards the whole entire time that you're in business. And a lot of us lose sight of that, or we never even give ourselves the fighting chance because we don't start there. So that's where I want to tie in the keep number with why. Because when I say the keep number, like find your keep number, I split it into like two sub numbers, need and want. The need number to me is like, what are your current monthly expenses in your personal life? And can the business start paying that so we can at least get what we need? So if you're in W-2, this gives you a North Star to get out of W-2 and full time into real estate. Or if you're like, hey, I'm in real estate, but I'm feeling like I'm always drowning, you get that need number and you can finally come up for air and like breathe again and think about the higher level things and like making connections and building the business and doing the type of thing. Because if you're always underwater struggling and kicking,
Oh,
you know, you're in survival mode. So I don't want you there. Where your want number is adjacent to need, but it's like the want is connected to your why. So why did you start your business? Well, connect the want number. What do I want on a monthly basis? So if I need 10K a month, what would 25K do a month or 50K a month in my pocket? You know, it's like, what do you really want from the business so that it can fuel why you started it? So now you can actually connect the money, and it makes it more fun in business. Like, this is why I'm going after that number, because this is what it will help me achieve of why I started it. So it's like, I want you to at least get those first two numbers in place.
You hit the nail on the head right there. I think a lot of business owners, we're high drivers, we're entrepreneurs, we're go, right? And we fail to really slow down to figure out why, right? And then set the goal to the actual purpose. And I'd even add another W to it, is what are you willing to do it? Like, what are you willing to do? So there's a want. Now you slow down to figure out a why. And are you willing to do it? And does your want match your willing, which equals your why, right? So there's a lot of variables in that. And I think people miss that. They okay, I want $20,000 in passive income or whatever that number is. And you said it just perfectly, David. Why? Like, really sit in that. What does that really mean? Who does that impact? Why is that important? What will that do for your leg? Like, all the questions that come behind it. I really want to hear people today, or hear this today, those that are on and listening. You've got to really understand why. And until you do, it just becomes a number. So thank you for sharing that, David.
It just is a number. Yeah. And that's where I tell this story. I highly recommend the book, Crucial Conversations. Highly recommend it. It's a great book. Chapter 10, it's called Retaking Your Pen, because they tell the story there of when you're born, metaphorically speaking, you're born with your pen in your hand, and that's your self-worth, and you're writing your own story. When you're a little kid, you don't care what anyone thinks. You get a little bit older, though, it's hard to hold your pen in your hand. Like with my daughter, last year, there was a tacky tourist day, a dress-up day at school, because we live in Florida. So, of course, a tacky tourist day. So it's like she gets all of her clothes out Sunday night, super excited, right? Monday morning comes, she gets in the car, has all the tacky tourist clothes on, and she's like, chat, all the way to school. Super excited about the day. 5 minutes from school, though, she gets real quiet and says, like, Dad, do you think it's really tacky tourist day? You know, am I going to be the only one dressed up? And I'm like, oh, I knew what was happening. It's like, other little kids had her pen, you know, like they were sitting there, you know, and she was giving them her pen, which is very typical at that age. You know, like those are the first experiences of that. And it's like being able to teach that. But this is where what we do in real estate, right? That's what Joey did. Joey listening to all the different people out there and just everyone else but him, his family, his wants, his needs. And it was like he gave up his pen. So then he was building a business around something he didn't really enjoy at all. It's like, I want you to take back your pen. Like, if you're doing it now, like you're even here on what? This is a Friday at whatever time it is. Like, you're investing in yourself right now. I want you to invest yourself in the point that you take back your pen and build a business around what you really need and want. So take back your pen, and to be able for you to go out there and do what you were born to do. Because this is where now, how do I actually make this reality? Where's the light bulb moment of like, okay, what is my need and want number? I do give that as part of my cheat sheet at the end. I've got like like the first 3 steps of implementing Profit First, and it gives in there, how do I find my keep number and that form in there? Because like, you need to go home and do this. Like, you need to go home and work with the people in your life that care about you and that you care about them. This could be a spouse, maybe a business partner if you're working with them. You need to find that number for your sake and for their sake too. Because with Joey, like, he went home to Ashley and found that keep number and like came back to me and said, I found my numbers, and guess how many deals I need to do next year to at least hit my bottom line numbers. And I was like, I don't know, back to 1 a month. And he said, no, only 5 deals next year. Like, I only need to do 5 flips, you know, like not what I was trying to do, the 3 to 4 a month and grow and scale this big crazy thing. Like, just to cover the nut next year, it would only be 5. And he said that was just like freeing. Like, I don't need to do 80, 90, 100-hour weeks to get there, like to slow down in order to speed up if he wanted to in the future. It's like, I need to take a year to build a business around what I really love. And then he's grown since then. But it's like at least being able to see hey, Ashley might not have to work in the business as much anymore. Or, hey, maybe it's something else like, hey, I don't need to do the 100-hour weeks, or I'm going to actually have some profitability at the end. That's where if you just build a business around what you want and need, that's a big part of taking back your pen and saying, no one else is holding this. I'm going to write my own story here. That's what I want for you. And that's point number one. We have to get our mind in the right place, and we have to give ourselves that North Star that we need to go after. So that way, in number two, we can create the system. Number one was like, we got to at least give ourselves the right end goal, and it's our end goal. It's not anyone else's end goal for us. So now we create the system to get to our end goal. Like, we got to actually set up something. So it's not just like, hey, okay, a deal closed, great. Hopefully I'm a little bit closer. It's not hopeful anymore. No hope and pray plan, no hope and pray business plans anymore. So what I want to help you do is create the wealth system. This is really what Profit First at the core, what it's built around. And like I said, I'm going to give you very, very practical advice here of how to implement. I do want to tell you too, though, I do tell this story in my book. So I have worked through this, and my wife has given me permission to share this. Up front, when we were early married couple, we were very typical and had money fights, just like lots of people out there, right? Like, I'm a saver, she's a spender. I think I'm right. I think she's wrong. And I would let her know. Being the A-type entrepreneur. Thankfully, she stuck with me all these years, and through good help, through the help of people to help me realize how I could see it from a different perspective, but also a system that could be put in place where we could both talk about it, that we both understood. Her not even being in the entrepreneur world. Like, today is Friday. It's so great that we're doing this on a Friday. Friday is our transfer day, and she helps us with our transfers. So I'll tell you what that means, but it's like she's now involved, even at a high level, where we can talk about this stuff more. And it's made, honestly, the personal conversations a lot better too. So I want to just tell you, this is why I'm so passionate, for multiple reasons. I want you to get where you want to be, but then this has impacted my life on a very personal basis too. So it's like, how can I just give you these steps, and what can it help you with where you are right now? I'm going to assume most people have a black hole account. It's where you have the one big business bank account. Everything gets sucked in, sucked out. It's like a swirling vortex of doom. Like, what the heck is happening here? Like, I closed on a deal, and there was all this money last week. Where is it this week? It's like, I don't know where the money's going. I don't know how many times I've heard that. If I had a nickel every time, I'd have lots of nickels. Probably 100%. Wouldn't be rich, but I'd have a lot of them. So it's like, that's where a lot of people have this black hole account. And like, I don't want you to be there, because this is also how, like, most entrepreneurs, probably in the high 85, 90%, manage all the money that flows through their business. Is they don't look at P&Ls and balance sheets a lot of times, or if they do, they don't know what's going on. They open up their bank account, and they say, do I have a lot of money? Good, I can spend a little bit of it. I don't have a lot of money. Ooh, I gotta be tight with it. I want you to have clarity, and not a lack of clarity. That lack of clarity brings a lack of confidence. But when you have clarity, it brings confidence to the decisions you make around your money, which you should be able to build a business that actually serves you. So this is where I want to give you a simple framework for knowing what you make, spend, and keep. One big bank account is not going to help you know these three numbers, but these are the three most important numbers, I think, that anyone in their business can know. This is why you have a bookkeeper. This is why you have people in your life. And I want to make sure you also know it from a bank account level too. What's coming in, what's going out, what do I get to keep from the business? So many people do not have a grasp on these simple numbers in their business. And I want to make sure you do as an entrepreneur, because it's so impactful to you and your bottom line. Profit First is built on the envelope system. Like I said, it's not going to be anything crazy. I'm not going to blow your mind. It has to be simple enough that we'll all do it, that you as an entrepreneur will set this up. I don't know if you know the envelope system, but people in the personal finance space have made it really popular. Dave Ramsey, whether you love him or hate him, other people out there, like, you literally set up physical envelopes in your personal life for your personal expenses, but name them, like gas, utilities, groceries, all the different bill categories for that. But in the business, you're going to set up bank accounts instead of envelopes. So that's why it's modernized. It's like, we're taking this to the online world and setting up physical bank accounts that are named. Because what I love about this system is the principle behind it, is that you're intentional with every dollar that flows through your company. You give every dollar a name. That's what I'm trying to get across here, is that you're being very intentional with what flows in and what flows out. So what are the first 3 bank accounts to open up? The first 3 envelopes, if you want to say, like for your system. I call it the golden trio. I mean, look at me. I look like I love Harry Potter and Star Wars, and I definitely lean hard into that because I do. And it's like in those big movies, those big epic sagas, you've got Luke, Han, Leia, Harry, Ron, Hermione, making sure good wins along the way and at the end. Your business is so much more important than these movies. It is your epic saga. It is what you are creating with whatever you're doing right now. And you need a golden trio of bank accounts, those heroes, making sure that you're keeping more of what you make. That's what I want to give you. That's what the first 3 accounts are: profit, owner's comp, and owner's tax. I would set up physical business checking accounts for these 3 to help you keep more. Because the big difference, because I always get this question, what's the difference between these accounts? These all sound the same if I'm keeping it. Profit first is a cash system. So we want to name our dollars specific things. Profit and owner's comp are tied to point number 1, your need and want number. Profit is tied to that want number and your why, where owner's comp is more connected to your need number. Like, what do I need to pay myself consistently? Owner's comp or compensation is the pay, like your W-2, your salary distributions, however you pay yourself or don't pay yourself right now from your business. That's where we would set up this account and make sure that you have at least some money going there. And then you withdraw a little bit, at least on a regular basis, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. You're taking some money out to pay yourself. Then profit is quarterly. It's more connected, like I said, to your want and why. So on a quarterly basis, like icing on the cake, like this is why I started my business, was to have actual cash profit and use it for what I wanted to. Then owner's tax is more of a peace of mind account. When tax time comes, you should be slicing, during the year, you should be slicing off a little bit from all the work you do and the profit that you have and putting a little bit in owner's tax. So when it comes tax time, you don't have this huge tax bill and you're like, what? Where am I going to get this money right now? Right. So that's more to save throughout the year. That's the first 3. There is 3 others. I don't want to overwhelm you. There is one other thing I want to tell you about this though. The other foundational accounts, especially in the real estate world, I added number 6 because I feel like it's so important for if you're in the real estate touching that at all. Everyone always has OPEX already. That's your spend account. That's the operational expenses. That's what goes out of the business. That's that swirling vortex. You've got income though now. I want you to set up an income account so you can see how much is coming into the business. That's how much you're making. What are you making? What's coming in? OPM stands for other people's money. So if you are in the rehab space or rental space, or you get money from like a private lender, a hard money lender, and they send it to you directly, not through escrow, but like, some people get the money sent to them directly. I would set up that OPM account so you can run your projects from OPM, and then you can run your business through the first 5. So you don't commingle. That's when so many people get in trouble in the real estate space, because it's like, hey, we got it. We sent all the money for the private money, from the private money lender to the big black hole account. But now we've got hundreds of thousands in there and it looks really good. But it's like, wait a second, like, hold on. Should we have, is that all to run, the business, or is it for our project? So it doesn't give you any clarity. It gives you a false sense of security. OPM's the no Ponzi scheme account. And if you're like, oh my gosh, this was a lot, I don't know what to do first. First of all, at the end, like I said, cheat sheet is going to help you step by step. But secondly, if you're like, that's a lot of accounts, at least start with owner's comp. I would start there because you need to take care of your need number first. You need to get your head above water so you can breathe. So can you at least set that up so that way you can at least get the owner's comp rolling and you can start paying yourself? Because even if you're trying to transition to real estate full-time, or you're there right now and you're like, I can't pay myself anything, can you do at least 1%? It's like, can we start small? Can we start wherever we are? Because the habit is what we're after. It's not just the system being set up, it's the habits it produces and the focus that it helps you achieve. So that's what I want for you here, because Joey sends me this picture every year. Now he's like, I'll never go back to one account. He's like, he has a rental company and a fix and flip company. So he says, for my different companies, I've got it exactly where the money is and I've got it named. And so I know where every dollar is. And he's like, that's so incredibly helpful for the clarity as an entrepreneur. And, now he knows. Before, he had one big account for each one and was robbing from Peter to pay Paul all the time. Rentals were covering this and this was covering that. And now he knows. He knows well in advance if something is wrong or not in the business. And it's like that peace of mind as well too. So that's where now I've taught you, number one, we got to get to the end goal that really matters. And then number two, we have to set up the system that helps us to achieve that goal and actually put a system in place to get there. Number three that I'm going to go over is all about, how do I make this consistent? How do I actually use this system consistently so I don't just set it up like a lot of people do and then they never start anything, like they don't ever transfer money out of income to the rest of the accounts and like anything like that. So let me just give you some very, very practical steps here for number three. Once you set up the system, now we need to build the wealth habits, because if I've given you the wealth formula and the wealth system, you need wealth habits so you can keep more on a consistent basis and build the business you really love. So I'm going to tell you what to do weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Weekly, I would move the money from income to the rest of the accounts. So it comes in, your sales comes into income, and then you transfer it to the golden trio and to OPEX to run the business and run that. You need to be constantly moving the money and never having it sit there for months at a time in income. You need to make sure it's in the right place. If you're like, well, I don't do enough deals to do that, like every week. Well, then by Friday of the week you get money, just make sure it's out of income and it's been spread out the rest of the accounts. And you might be thinking, how the heck, how much should I put to the different accounts? Here you go. If you are a investor, wholesaler, flipper, someone that the end goal is to sell the property, or if you're an agent too, that would, number one box, the top one would be for you. Number two box below would be for anyone buying and holding. These are targets, target allocation percentages, TAPs. That's the profit first term for it. These are goals. This might not be where you start. You can see the columns, depending on the size of the business, that's where the real revenue range is, like your gross profit, like how much you're actually making. Depending on how much you're making, it's split up into healthy percentages for you and for the business. And like I said, these are goals. You might have to start out with 1% to the golden trio, like profit, owner's pay, and like the owner's tax, and 97% to OPEX. Start where you can and then go after the goal. But this will at least give you a goal to shoot for as an entrepreneur. So that way you know, am I on track or off track with my cash and with where it's coming in and going out? So that's what to do weekly. Then every month, review it. Because if you're transferring it weekly and you've got that TAPS guide, review monthly how close you are to those percentages, like to those targets. Can we get better each month? Or you might want to review that on a quarterly basis, but we can at least review too what's coming in, what's going out, and what did I keep, right? The make, spend, and keep. I have an income account to see how much came in. I have OPEX to see how much went out and where did it go. And then I have the keep accounts. So that golden trio, so I can see how much did I actually put towards me and making sure the business is healthy, the profitability, and paying myself. So you'll be way ahead if you can just get those three numbers in place and be confident in what you know, making, spending, and keeping. And then
can I ask a question on this, David? Can I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
You're in great rhythm here. Where does pipeline and future cash flow come into this? So you're talking about the here and now, allocating what's coming in, what's going out. How much weight is looked at? Okay, I've got X number of deals. This is my projected expenses. This is my projected profit. Does that come into it as well? Or is that just really the here and now?
For a business owner, what do you think because I look like the bookkeeper CPA type for sure, but my background is being a real estate investor. Most of us just think about today of like, where's my money now? We want the future projections. That's why we built a CFO company, like to handle the financial projections and where things are going. But if you get a grasp around what you're making, spending, and keeping, and then you can forecast like just even a little bit ahead of like, here's what I project from this next flip or this next wholesale, you can pre-plan your allocations. So it's like, I know, okay, this month I'm going to have this much going to it. That's where you can plan out basically a year to say, for this year, how much do I think I'm going to spend this year? And if I know that I wholesale more in the first and second quarter, well, I've got to have enough to cover my monthly nut in the third and fourth quarter. So it helps a lot there too. I would say that's like the next step and more advanced. I'm like trying to get people to get it set up and get it working. And then you can use it for those to be able to plan out a whole year of where you are cash wise. So no, that's a great question though. Then every quarter, this is a fun one. Take the money. Where do I mean take your money from? take it from profit. Have fun with your business. Like if you set up a profit account, give yourself a quarterly distribution from profit to accomplish your why. This is why I'm so adamant about point number 1. And why is your business there? It's for you. So you use the money from profit for whatever that reason is. That's why this is such a big concept to people. It's like they think that it's always profit is that one day in the future, you know, like some year, maybe when I sell the business, when I sell all my properties, you know, like when I stop living deal to deal right now today. It's like if we set a system today that you could be more profitable and take that money out, you'll also be much more desirable in the future if you want to sell your portfolio or sell everything off. This is like building good habits now, where a business owner would love to come in and take over your business, where you're taking quarterly distributions and you're paying yourself on a consistent basis. So every quarter, take the money. The only other reason to use profit would be as if you have bad debt. You've got credit card debt or bad debt hanging over your head that's making you not sleep well at night. It's like use the profit to start knocking that down. Knock that down and get it out of your life so you're not thinking about it. That's what I would do there. That's those 3 things: weekly, monthly, and quarterly. So to recap, because I'm landing the plane, find what you need to keep. This is your business, no one else's. Take back your dang pen. Create your wealth system. Make sure you actually set up the system so you have a fighting chance to, you know, keep what you really want to, and then build the wealth habits. So that way you can consistently build it in, that it's very easy. Like every week we're doing this, every month, every quarter, you're making it as easy as possible for yourself to keep as much as humanly possible from the business. And that's where with Joey, it's not just about the money, right? You know, it's like, and for us, it's not about the money. It's about what the money provides for us. Like time to be able to work out or do the other things. Like he loves the running and all that stuff. He did like 3 triathlons, I think, last year. But the first year that he was on Profit First was there, you know, like this was the 1 year versus the next year. And I said, you want me to show this? He's like, yes. Like this is where I could just slow down and think about other things now, but still take care of the business because I knew where the dollars were. And that's where I love this slide. Profit unlocks your purpose. That's really what I'm trying to get the point across. This is why I'm so adamant about like this whole system, is that profit should really help you become more of who you are. And like you need profit to do that. If you want to help more people, if you want to spend more time with family, you're not going to do it by sitting there in a corner wondering where the next deal is coming from. It's like we got to build that into our business and into this system so that way we can really do what we want. And that's where Joey was. His 2 big reasons for his business was number 1, spend time with family. Number 2, give to charity. Last year, he took a 3-week road trip with his family in an RV he bought with the extra tax money. On the right-hand side, he wanted to give to this camp for kids, and he texted me how much he gave. It was over $71,000. I called him. I said, Joey, does that number ring a bell to you? It's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you remember how much you lost a few years ago? He's like, oh my gosh, you know, $70,000. I said, yeah, and you gave it last year and didn't touch anything else, didn't touch the OPEX, didn't touch owner's comp or profit or anything, and we're able to give. Like, this is why I'm so passionate about this. Like, I want people to have these types of experiences, and it just takes some simple setup and then consistency. So that's where the habits come into play. Can you make this a habit in your business so you're not doing things that just out off the wall and never actually getting the benefits from the system? So there you go. That's my presentation. This is where here I want to just give you, like I said, the cheat sheet, which really gives you just my ebook and audiobook. If you want the print book, you got to get off Amazon. But Profit First for real estate investing. But I give you the cheat sheet at the site that I'm going to give to you as well too, where it's literally, this was a lot of info. This might have been the first time you've heard something about Profit First or this concept, or maybe you're down this road already and this could just help you take that next step wherever you are on that journey. So it's just a very simple 1-pager. The second page is a visual overview. So if you're a visual learner of like, if I set up the accounts, how does it flow through the system? It's there too for you if you're more of a visual learner than an outline form, which the first page is more outline form. Also, like Kyle, I mentioned up front, I own a fractional CFO company. So it's a part-time chief financial officers. And you might think like, there's no way I'm ready for a CFO at this point. Like I'm not at 10 million or whatever. That's why it's fractional. It means part-time and it's a lower cost than a full-time CFO, chief financial officer on your team. So what we're doing is honestly, this is why we love working with people like your bookkeeping partner. So it's like, hey, I want to make sure that they've got someone that's your advocate and that we're your advocate as well too, to make sure that you both are gelling, because sometimes the owner is go, go, go. And we have to put the system to make sure that we're getting everything we need to see the numbers. and we are that bridge and that glue in between a lot of times. We do implement profit first. So making sure you know where every dollar is going and holding you accountable to keeping more and making sure that you have an actual system for that. We do assessments too, like helping you get to TAPS, those target allocation percentages. We set up a dashboard too. That's what what you were mentioning before, is like, we want to make sure you know where you're going. So the dashboard's more of a GPS. So we take the numbers that you give us, Kyle, and we're like helping them make sure they know, okay, this is what it means and where they're going for the future as well too. So that's what we're trying to do, all from the financial end. We're like the financial leader of the team to make sure you're knowing where everything's going. And that's where you can get that stuff at that QR code or simplecfo.com/YBP and get the cheat sheet. And if you want to set a call with our team to see if we're a good fit, we're just going to make sure that if you are a good fit, here's what we do and here's how we can help you with the CFO services. If not, like, do you need another connection? Like, do you need a good CPA or something? It's like, need to make sure you're buttoned up on the financial end. But there you go. I want to give this because
That's awesome.
I want you to have at least the foundation for cash.
Your energy, David, and your passion, man, I love it. And that's where our companies just align so well. We're on the same path to impact lives. And our mission here at YBP is to empower agents and really business owners to financial freedom. And that's a one-line mission statement for us. You said a lot. Like, I took
I
a
did.
couple pages of notes here, and just you and those that are on here, we are going to send out the recording. And then, of course, you can find the information on simplecfo.com, as well. Keith Cunningham says something great in The Road Less Stupid. He says, if you don't know where you're going, you could be potentially running enthusiastically in the wrong direction. And,
Right.
it's so spot on, right? I mean, we're salespeople. We can sell things. It's not about making money. It's really the challenges that I see a lot in my world and your world too, is how do you keep it? Like, and then what do we do with it? I think that's you just
100%.
nailed that home today. And I think that the listeners here just need to hear, like, wherever you're at in your financial journey, maybe it's just starting with your purpose. It could be hiring Simple CFO, like wherever that looks like. I think you just have to sit in that step. And I love the models. I posted something earlier. It's if you don't have a model or system, you're going to work harder and make less, non-negotiable. You're just going to. And you really gave a simple model. And how do you work to the model? And what does that look like? And Simple CFO holds you accountable to that model, and those types of things. That's great. Any questions from our group here that you'd like to ask David or Christina? Please put in the chat or come off of mute. So just ask questions, whatever you need. So on here today, David, my question for you is, well, first off, I want to make a statement, and I want to make sure I understood this. I wrote this question down. You said something about OPM, and you said something about basically the business money. It's almost like two separate entities. Is that what you're saying? So your contractor account and then your business account, almost treated as two separate entities. You said that. Can you elaborate just a little bit more on that? What does that mean?
For me, it's not necessarily that's an entity. It's just a separate bank account that you're not commingling your lender's funds for projects with the money to run the business. It's like the foundational accounts are there to run the business. That OPM is there to do the construction and do the rehabs. And you don't want to give yourself that false sense of security of like, oh, I've got lots of money, because I took it from, the private lender and now I could go do other things. Well, no, that's for your rehab. So that's what I was meaning, is just, it's another account of the system, but it helps you separate that out. So it's like money to run the business, money to run rehabs.
Yeah. What's your avatar? Who's your avatar? What's a great client for Simple CFO?
They need to be making money. So if you're like, you got to get that skill down. So if you haven't mastered that skill, go out there, get that skill. So I would say you're doing at least 100,000 in gross profit, not net, not bottom line, but at least top line. So you're doing several deals a year. At least we go from there. Our sweet spot is working around the $1 million mark. So it's like, if you're from 100,000 to $1 million, that's really where we love to serve. If you're over $1 million, we have plans for you as well too, but we've got different tiers depending on where you are on your business journey and where you are right now. And that's where we're just trying to help you have someone that's there as a financial leader on that team.
Love that. You know, one of my coaching niches is helping people develop a 5-year exit strategy, because I think people,
Yeah.
especially in the real estate space, they want to build wealth so they don't have to work. And I call it actually a
Right.
5-year option strategy, because most entrepreneurs won't quit and sit on the beach drinking Mai Tais. They want just to a point where they can make, like Joey's case, go visit with family or donate and those types of things,
Right.
for their life. So 92% of agents or even business owners don't own real estate. So the
Mm.
other 8% usually do, or they're building wealth, or buy and holds or flips, wholesale, et
Yeah.
cetera. And why do you think that is? There's 1.6 million realtors. There's other business owners in the community that are doing real estate, and they just struggle with this piece of just getting started. What do you think that is?
Oh man.
Fear,
Well, probably.
fear.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Fear?
fear. Psychologically, they don't want to make the jump. Some of them don't have the money, they think, to make the jump, even though you don't need money to get into real estate. But it's like some of them don't have a good system for their real estate agency. So it's like, why would I want to create a whole nother thing, and start buying rentals over here? So, becoming a real business owner who knows the fundamentals of that is really a good boost there. But then also taking the plunge and learning from good people like you of like, okay, how do I get into real estate? And really just, if they want to really blow through that fear, like Christina was saying.
I have a
So
great
that's
story that
what
I
you
can
see is
relate
holding
back
people
to that
back, is the
too.
fear.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the
Big
fear.
time.
So my story is when my husband and I started, we lived in Virginia, and we were starting to have a family, and he decided to become a real estate agent so he could buy and sell his own flips, because every time we would go see a house and we wanted to flip it, the agent would always tell us, no, it's not a good flip. No, you don't want that. No, this. So we were letting other people influence us, hold our pen. And he was working an office job that he hated. He's not an office person. He's an operator and a construction guy. So he actually ended up getting laid off, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. And I was like, why don't you just do real estate full time? Like, this is God telling you, like, this happened for a reason. Do it. So he did. We started looking at houses, and like, he would not pull the trigger. And we had this great person. We had no money. I was to put that out there. We had not a dime to our name, and we were struggling, just trying to start a family. We lived in DC area, Virginia. So high cost of living. So we go look at flips, go do things. This lady had already trusted us, and she was going to lend us the money. And I just finally told him, like, just buy the dang house. And he's like, well, I don't know. I did all the work. And he's so smart, and he put everything on paper. And I was like, just buy it. I trust you. I got your back. We lose money, but at least we can say we did it, and we can get more comfortable in that fear. And slowly it'll drift off. And so we did, and we made money. We made about $35,000 on our first flip, and all was history from there. But it was fear. It was so many conversations, talking with, I think I was already pregnant at that point, and I was like, what am I going to do if we lose money and we don't have savings? And I was just, it took us believing in each other too, and pushing each other, and making sure that, hey, it is what it is. I trust you. Let's get it done. And we did.
That's
It's been
awesome.
a
Great
tough
story.
road,
Thanks for sharing
you
that.
lose money here and there, and
Yeah.
but as
Well, it's an
long as you
education,
keep
right? It's no
going.
different than going to college. It's an education. It's just getting into action, for that. And I think it's pain versus pleasure. Is the pain of being unemployed higher or lower than the pain of investing, right? So then you can learn from that and get around very smart people that understand it, do it, and you are who you hang with. And are you asking the questions to get out of that fear? And fear is really false evidence appearing real. So you're telling yourself the story behind what hasn't even happened yet. So it's like, how do you work through that fear? Well, it's usually knowledge. It's understanding. And Dave, you said something, it's a model, right? Really understanding that and having the confidence with that model, and almost a board of directors, smart people saying, this makes sense. Go do that. That's where I think coaching and just mentorships and whatever that looks like for people is just to understand, okay, what's that fear? What's holding that back?
Yeah.
And what I hear a lot too is mindset, right? It's just the mindset around that. And that's why the Kiyosaki books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Psychology of Money and Profit First, like really absorbing all the money side of things. Because that's, you mentioned you don't have to buy real estate using your own money. So that's just a different skill set and understanding. But leaning into that, just becoming the knowledge and leaning into your company, and just how do I do this? Like, what do I do? And what does that start to look like? And thank you for sharing that. I just want to share, because I think a lot of people, at least in my world, is just, they want to do it. They have the willingness to do it. It's just that cliff. And I'll never forget a story that Gary Keller, the founder of Keller Williams, said. He said he was riding in a truck, and the gentleman driving was like, Gary, I wish I could invest and buy what you do. And Gary said, why don't you do that? And the guy said, I don't have the money. He said, well, if you did have the money, Gary said, if you did have the money, what would you buy? The guy's like, I don't know. He said, that's your problem. The money's sitting next to you. You just don't know what to buy. So there's a lot of these combos. It's mindset, capital, like what to buy, and all these things that come in. It's I think people just hear, and whether you don't own any real estate or you're buying a lot of real estate, I think it's really understanding that fear. Any other things or that you guys see that maybe hold people back through really their purpose and their why, and just going for it?
Go
Outside
ahead,
of fear?
Christina. I talked a lot.
That's really what it is. I mean, lack of a system,
Okay.
fear, lack
Lack
of
of
money, excuses. A lot of people, we talk to people every day that are like, oh, I want to flip houses too. Let's meet for lunch. And we do. And it's like, do you really want to? Like or they think like, you're so lucky that you've been able to flip houses. That's not luck.
No.
That's skill. And we've worked very hard at it. And people don't realize, like, you see that picture, like where they have that big rock boulder that comes up and then it goes underwater, and it has all the things that you fight for underwater, and people don't see that from the outside looking in.
Yeah.
So, and you're meeting other people's needs. You're literally letting them hold your pen without just saying, I got this, I can overcome that, and I don't need your opinion. I don't need someone to keep me back. You have to believe in yourself and push forward. And you know what? The fear of losing money sucks, but not every deal is going to be profitable. And the quicker you can accept that we are human and we are going to make mistakes, the better off we'll all be.
Yeah, I love that, Christina. Well said. Well said. Looks like you covered a lot. No questions coming off. People are not coming off of mute on that. Any departing words, just for our listeners, for our guests on here today, that we should know that maybe we haven't asked yet?
Make profit a habit in your business. Like, don't make it an afterthought. Make it something that's built into it. I really like what Christina said too. Maybe you need someone that pushes you over that edge.
Yeah.
Like she was to Carlos, her husband, and it's like making sure you got someone in your life that holds your feet to the fire sometimes and helps you get there. So there's my parting advice.
Love it, David. Christina, any departing advice?
Same thing, believe in yourself. And if you really want it bad enough, and I wholeheartedly believe that if you want it, you will have it.
Love that. Looks like we have one hand raised. Jasmine, if you want to come off mute, ask away here.
Hey, how y'all doing? Thank you for the presentation. It was great. I have a question about, so I guess I've tried to set it up. I follow it a little bit. I know it's not perfectly the profit first model in the business. And I guess it's a mindset around what the profit really, hello? Sorry.
I can hear you.
We're here.
All right.
We can all hear you.
All right. I got it.
Yeah.
I can hear it.
Yeah, about what the profit really is. I guess I was trying to wrap my head around it because I started saving the money and the money was being there. And then I guess maybe at that moment I did have the wrong bookkeeper. I just joined YBP and I'll do my onboarding on Monday, but they were saying like, oh, this has to be counted as something else because you're transferring it from the OPEX into the hold account. And so I guess I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not doing it wrong, or should I just bring the hold account, the profit hold account back to the same bank account where I currently have my OPEX?
So you did what Mike suggested and opened it up at a different bank, like at a savings account, as a savings or something outside of your original bank?
Yes,
I
I have my Navy Federal for my regular accounts for my business, business federal account for my LLC. And then I open a Wells Fargo account for my profit hold. in my tax hole.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
I guess
I would just
they was
let them know
out of entity.
that
I was like, oh snap, I messed up.
No.
as long as,
you didn't mess
yeah,
up.
as long as they know it's the same entity, they should know it's the same entity. It's just different banks at different
Yeah.
different banks,
Yeah,
different
it's
bank
just a
accounts at different banks.
transfer until you take it.
Yeah.
And then it becomes a distribution. But as long as it's within your business, it's just a simple transfer between in the entity.
Yeah. Even
Okay.
across
Question,
banks.
Jasmine. Yeah.
Awesome. And then last question real quick. So once I do the quarterly distribution for myself, which I think Mike suggested was 50%, and you leave 50% there, then then that's going to my personal side, which I will have my own separate budget for.
Right.
That
And
is a
that's where it's like, yeah, that would be more of a distribution where it's like, take the 50%, have fun with it, but that is more of a distribution. Yeah.
And that shows
Appreciate
up on your balance sheet. So just making sure it gets categorized properly as a shareholder distribution.
Nice. Thank you guys for the clarity.
Yeah, my
Yep.
pleasure.
For sure.
All right, David, Christina, it's an honor and a pleasure. Thank you for your partnership. Thank you for believing in our company, and just really appreciate you pouring into our guests today. So it's truly an honor to be in business with you guys.
Well, thank
Have a
you,
great day.
Kyle.
Appreciate
Absolutely.
you. Take care.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kyle.
Bye-bye.